All right, so in this video, we are going to talk about quantifiers. And to begin talking about quantifiers, we need to talk about predicates. All right, so for an example, we talked about this last time, but x squared equals 1. That is not a statement, right? It could be true, it could be false. Kind of depends on what x is. So the x here is what we call a free variable because it's really the value of x that is making this not a statement. If we were to fix the x or say something about the x, then we would have ourselves a statement. So we say that a sentence with a free variable is called a predicate. All right, so this is what a predicate is. Some examples. All right, and often we sort of write these as functions. So we write it as sort of a function of x. X squared is equal to 1. All right, that is a predicate. You can also have two free variables. A is greater than or equal to B, okay? So that is also a predicate. So we can take a predicate and turn it into a statement if we say something about the free variables. If we were to say for x equals 2, all right, now I turn s of x into a statement. Or if I were to say for any integers, a and b, now I've turned L into a statement. All right, so quantifiers are a way of really quantifying, of taking these free variables and saying something about them so we can take a predicate and turn it into a statement. All right, and there are two main quantifiers that we are going to be most interested in. The first one is what's called a universal quantifier, but in English we usually say for all. All right, this is universal quantifier. All right, and so this could be something like for all integers n is even. All right, not true, but it is a statement. All right, and so this really depends on what's called the universe of discourse. So for all what? You know, what's the universe in which I'm pulling things from when I say for all? In this previous case, it was for all integers. So my universe of discourse is going to be integers. But if I had just left off for the integers and said for all n, it's unclear as to what my universe of discourse is. So you need to make sure that your universe of discourse is clear to your reader. All right, and so for all just says, all right, for anything within my universe of discourse, this predicate. And the other one that's really important is there exists. All right, the existential one. And so this is saying there does exist at least one thing that satisfies this predicate. One value of x satisfies this predicate. All right, so you could say something like, there exists an x such that x squared is equal to 1. All right, and we have some symbols to represent this. For all reads as an upside down A, and there exists is a backwards E, okay? And almost always there exists is followed by a such that. So there exists an x in some set such that your predicate is true. okay, or such that your predicate is false, all right, such that some particular statement involving X. All right, so these are our quantifiers. We just went through contradictions, so obviously we're going to need to know how to negate these quantifiers. All right, and it's kind of nice because negating these quantifiers works a lot like the ands and the ors. So if you have very general statement for all x such that p of x, all right, such that the p of x statement is true, that's logically equivalent to saying, so if I negate that, remember this is a symbol for negation, if I am negating this universal statement, that's the same thing as there exists an x such that p of x is false. All right, so the negation of every x makes p of x true is that there has to exist at least one x that makes p of x false. All right, and hopefully that just makes a little bit of sense. And for the existential, if you are negating an existential, all right, there exists an x such that p of x is true. All right, if you're negating that, that means there does not exist an x such that p of x is true. Or another way of saying that is that for all x, p of x is false. All right, so now we have a way of negating our universal and existential statements. And so we can go about proving them through contradiction, all right, if that seems like, or contrapositive, if that seems like the best option. All right, and so next what I want you to do is to go through the book and look at the skeleton proofs for the universal and existential statements. There are proofs for proving both of these directly and proving both of these through contradiction. So look through those, it'll give you a nice kind of skeleton, a nice breakdown of, in general, what should these proofs look like, what some of the initial introductory words you should be using, and some of the summary that you should be using, okay? And very soon we're going to be working on a bunch of problems where you get some practice in writing up these proofs.